this is our new project, the longest line, and you are filling in the entire page with one line, okay? And I'm gonna show you how to do this. So, and guys in class, if you have questions or need me to stop, go right ahead. We don't mind interrupting the video. So, basically you're doing just a big doodle. You're making a coloring sheet, right? So remember when you're doing your lines that you're not getting them too close together and you're not spreading them out because you don't want a lot of empty space. Okay, so where should I start with this? In the middle, on the side?
Left side.
The left side, okay, left side. So let me start here. And I'm going to make what kind of line? A curly one? Okay, let's do one of these kind of lines. Okay, so then what I kind of did is I did it in sections, and that kind of helped me keep track of everything. So what I did was I'm gonna do this section here with my lines first. So you're always gonna kind of want to make yourself a way out so you can go to that next section. So let's see, I'm just gonna start kind of tracing this line that I had already. And remember, you need to draw lightly because with this project, I did do some erasing because maybe my line wasn't gonna connect very well with my next one. So make sure that you draw lightly, okay? So let's just continue one more of these and see how I went from curvy to kind of just bumpy. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do straight lines, and let's just make our corner here. Now watch this, because that might be just a little bit too close, right? So remember, you don't want them too close, especially when you go back to trace with your Sharpie, because it makes your lines just a little bit fatter. Okay, so here I did these, right? Now let's make boxes, right? So see how I'm just kind of going with the flow. Now, I'm over here. I need to make sure, what should I do next? I need to fill this section in. How about some, but remember, I need to kind of come back, okay? So how about I just make a straight line here, and then I can make more boxes. And that way, I will be able to go over to my next section, okay? So see how it's kind of just, like I said, doodling, right? You're kind of just going with the flow. When you're doing your whole page, you do want to look back at yourself and say, okay, I did a lot of these. What kind of line haven't I done, right? So we haven't done zigzags yet, or triangles. So what I could do, and it doesn't have to be section by section, you can do that, or you can kind of go, right? And then what if I go back up? And let's make another wavy. And then I can kind of fill in this section here. Okay, so there's really, there doesn't really have to be a rhyme or reason. Look at the line that you did you just did, and that usually helps you kind of go with the next one, right? Doing patterns of the same lines, going along, kind of like I was saying with this, where you're doing wavies, and then it kind of morphs into something else. And it doesn't have to be, and see how I kind of ended there? me get me an eraser. I kind of need to give myself space, right? So maybe instead of going back up, I can kind of go all the way down. And like I said, it doesn't have to be in a pattern. It can be kind of crazy and jaggedy there. Okay. And then I'm going to move on to the next section here. And see, remember, you can pick up your pencil, but when you do, you go back, you need to start where you left off. Okay? Let's see here. We use zigzags. We use kind of curvies. How about a big loop-de-loop? Now you can oversect like this, right? You don't want to do a lot of it, but you can, do stuff like that. So let's go all the way over, but remember, give yourself room to go down, okay? I can kind of just trace my lines, outline it a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to kind of keep going with not triangles, but kind of spiky, almost like waves or something, or leaves. So now I can go down. I don't like this space here, so I'm going to kind of go in there and make another little line in there. Okay? So does everybody understand that? Okay. I'm going to show you some designs. I did, in here, I wrote the word art in cursive. And you can see kind of where I had to intersect, and that's okay if you do it every once in a while. You don't want to do a lot of it because it'll get your piece a little too confusing. And then, let's see, what else did I do? I did like a cityscape here. I did a little kind of a heart. I did a tree, right? So you can add in little designs in there if you'd like. I did bubble letters on this one. I did my hand. Some loop-de-loops. I did some kind of rainbow-y lines. I wrote my name in here, Rachel, in cursive, right? So I also did some designs, like made little hearts out of the lines. So you can kind of get creative with your shapes and things in there, but remember, they have to still connect with one another. So you're modifying that just a little bit. So I will show you how to do some letters. And don't be afraid. So I did this all with my paper like this, but don't be afraid to switch it, right? So here is my line where I need to start off. Let's make bubble letters. Okay, so here's my C. Remember, I can just go back and connect and make my K, right? So this is the kind of thinking that you need to plan out a little bit when you do want to do designs, is how am I going to connect them? Now I don't have to close it off all the way if I don't want to. Okay, M. I could even go loop, loop. Oh, well, I can't go do that. Gotta slow down just a little bit. And see how long I'm taking, I'm going really slow. So take your time so you don't make mistakes like that. Okay, and then now I'm gonna go back to the S. Now the S is a little difficult, so I'm gonna have to go backwards for the S. You know, so see how I kind of made that, but I'm still able to trace all that down. Okay. Now let's see here. If you don't like the empty spaces here, when you are doing your C or whatever, instead of going completely all the way around to form your C, you could always stop, do a little design in here, and then go back, right? So it's just taking your time, planning it out, erasing and going back, which is fine, right? And even if, say I want to cheat a little bit, if I want to go back and fill in those spots, I'm just going to move that little section and go like that, right? I don't want you to do the whole thing like that, like go back and connect them. But say if I'm good here, but like I said, I don't like all this stuff, I can kind of go back and edit my line, which is fine. Okay? All right. Let's see here. I have a corner here, what I could fill it in with. Let's see here. Let's make a little heart and then go back down. Okay, so see how I'm just filling it all in. Okay. Would anybody else like to see an example of like the cursive writing or the tree or some kind of other example? Anybody else? Let's do cursive writing, but I think you can kind of figure out the tree or any kind of simple clip art version of an object where you're just doing kind of the silhouette of it. And then all I did was trace it around again. I kind of added like tall grass looking lines here. So let's fill all this in, and let's do, oh. What's that say? Oh, see, and where I do, you know, how you write and then you go back and cross your T, you'll just have to kind of go whoop, whoop, and then move on. So there's Jackson, his name in lights. And then, like I said, you are going to be crossing over a little bit here and there, especially on like your letters that do cross over. But again, all you have to do is kind of go along with some of your designs here. Right, you can trace it out. You could even kind of highlight it by doing kind of like a comic book, you know, like a pow, bam, that kind of outline. Then I can even go back and make it like this. But remember, you always kind of need to leave yourself a way out. Right. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? I don't think I need to fill the whole thing with you guys. I think you're getting a good hang on it. Any questions for me? Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna fill the whole page. Again, take your time. Don't scribble it all in. Make it look nice and neat, nice clean lines, right? Because the faster you go, the more chaotic it is, right? This does look chaotic, but it is planned out and thought out, okay? All right, so after you finish this step, then before you go to the Sharpie, let me check it out and we'll go over it and then we can move on to step 2. But remember, this step 1 is only really filling it in, okay? All righty.